What's going on, guys? It's Durant, and you guys know by now that I'm a huge Laker fan, so you've been asking for it. Here it is, my thoughts on the second overall pick of the 2016 NBA draft, Brandon Ingram. During the NBA lottery, I originally said that if the Lakers get the #1 pick, they should keep it and get Ben Simmons, but if they get the #2 pick, they should trade it away. It had nothing to do with Brandon Ingram. I just thought that either Chicago or the Sacramento Kings would be intrigued enough by the #2 pick and another asset to give up one of their stars, whether it be Jimmy Butler or DeMarcus Cousins, and the Lakers would do what they always do best, and that's get another star via trade. But that didn't happen, and the Lakers ended up selecting Brandon Ingram #2 overall. And with weeks of deliberating to myself about the pick, I finally come to a decision on whether I believe in Brandon Ingram or not. To make a long story short, I do. Way back on February 17th, when Duke was taking on North Carolina in what is one of my favorite rivalries in all of sports, I tweeted this: I like Brandon Ingram. He has a nice feel for the ball. Wouldn't mind if the Lakers ended up with him instead of Ben Simmons. What I saw from Ingram that game answered the biggest concern I have with him, which is his athleticism. Now, don't get me wrong, he's athletic by all accounts, but he just isn't an explosive player. And when you can't rely on going past, through, or over your defender, you have to have a lot of moves with a lot of counters, which is exactly what Ingram displayed against that big game against UNC. Coach K put him in a lot of ISO situations, especially on the left side of the floor, and Ingram went to work on anyone defending him. He never used the same move twice. One possession, he would use a jab step to open himself up for an easy jumper. Then the next possession, he would use that same jab step, but then wait for the defender to close out on him, blow by him, and get into the paint for an easy bucket. It's one thing to do a jab step, but another thing to know how to use it, and Ingram showed the ability to give the defense whatever he wanted, make them react, and then counter with not just a move, but the right move. Another thing I like about Brandon Ingram was his willingness on the defensive end. I saw him play everywhere, whether it be at the bottom of a 2-3 zone or the wing of a 3-2 zone. The kid worked his butt off on the defensive end. Ingram used his freaky length to his advantage to make up for his lack of lateral quickness against smaller players on the perimeter, and even bang with bigger players like Bryce Johnson in the paint. Look, part of defense is just trying, and Brandon Ingram did exactly that in college, oftentimes being very vocal on the defensive end and attempting to make the right rotations. Some players don't even try to do this, especially when you're a star-driven player. You think you don't have to help defensive rotations, when in reality, you're hurting a team a lot by not doing that. I mean, look at Jordan. He made that defensive play on Karl Malone. Had he not, who knows if Jordan's a 6-time NBA champ. Now, this doesn't mean that his defensive ability is going to translate to the NBA level, because a lot of guys actually try to play defense in college, but when they get to the league, they don't even bother. I mean, most notably James Harden. Coming out of ASU, he was quote unquote a committed defender, but then when he got to the league, well, this. These are just a few of the things I like about Brandon Ingram, but let's talk about some of the concerns I have with him as well. Obviously, his weight is somewhat of an issue, as he only clocks in at like a $190. But when you look at a lot of the guys who come into the league and compare their college bodies with their current ones, the comparisons are somewhat laughable. I mean, look at this. Steph already looks like a baby, but coming into the league, he looked like he wasn't even born yet. So while I think Ingram won't become like a LeBron James body, he will put on weight, as he will have no choice but to put in work in the weight room, and having health professionals around him 24/7 and putting him on the right diet to beef up that failed frame won't hurt either. Now, my last concern with Brandon Ingram is his playmaking ability. There were times where he looked ball dominant, and I questioned his ability to create shots for teammates, but sometimes when you're just that good at scoring, your teammates are going to be so wide open that getting them the ball, it will be as easy as a simple kick out pass that you couldn't miss if you tried, or Gerald Henderson.
Shot clock at 10. Henderson pull up and hit the step. Oh my, hit a woman coming back from halftime.
So during his rookie campaign, don't expect Ingram to put up 4 or 5 assists per game because he only averaged 2 in college, and the speed of the game is a lot quicker in the NBA. So I expect him to do like 1.7 assists per game. I mean, we'll come back at the end of the year and see how wrong I was. That sound good? So those are my thoughts on Brandon Ingram as a Laker fan, and sure, this is a little bit of me making me feel better about the current Lakers situation, but I honestly do believe that Ingram can turn into something special. Obviously, the KD comparisons are out there, but comparing a rookie who hasn't even played a second in the NBA to a top 5 all-world player is about as useful as Tony Allen's jump shot, which, if you don't know, isn't very useful.
Kicks it out. Tony Allen will try a 3. Rick.
So it's gonna take some time for Brandon Ingram to show us who he really is. But those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comment section below. My name's Jaren. This has been NBA Talk. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace! Starting off with the traction, you can see that Nike uses a full-length blade pattern on a translucent outsole. As far as the durability goes, the rubber compound, there is no micro G in this model, but that's not a bad thing. The charged foam cushion setup Under Armour used is fantastic, especially if you're a guard who likes a low responsive ride. If you're looking for a lot of impact protection and something that feels like a pillow underneath your feet,